So, something that has been bothering me for a really long time was not having like the answers just to anything that felt important. Like any decision, any crossroads I faced in life, I just didn't have any answer. I didn't have any good answer to face this problem that I had. And what I did and have eventually learned is that the only way to get the right answers is to ask the right questions. So if I'm not asking the right questions, I'm gonna get the wrong answers. For example, like, is this job or career path right for me? Well, it's kind of a dumb question because you can't answer it yes or no from the outside. You really can't just look at it for what it is and say yes or no. Now, sometimes you can actually say, ooh, that looks miserable. I imagine myself in that scenario and I would hate every moment of it. Cool. Sometimes things are an easy no. But the hard part is actually finding a correct yes. So the easy no's is not worth making a video about or talking into a camera about. So at the very least, when it comes down to it, the right questions we should be asking ourselves isn't like, is this right for me? Like the right question to ask would be, is this something I can see myself excited to put my all into every day? That's a question. That is a question that looks very deep inwards and applies the answer very correctly outwards into your immediate life. So you ask that right question, you get the right answer. Will this excite me? Will this make me ready to live extra every single day? Perfect question. Perfect question to get the answer you're looking for. Because at the end of the day, you're looking for the right option to choose as a career path. That's the answer. But there is no question that's going to directly lead you there unless it's the right question. It has to be the right question. It can't just be our simple, will this make me happy? Probably fucking not, all right? The answer to that question is probably never. That's just how it is. I may have oversanded that one. All good. If we do really want those right answers, we have to first be willing to ask like a hard question most of the time as well. Like the questions we have to ask ourselves are very hard and they require us to do very real self-analysis. It's sometimes really uncomfortable when you don't want to look yourself in the mirror and see who you are now and ask yourself if you are willing to put in the effort to become somebody who is like worthy of the answers you want out of life. That's a very difficult thing. One of the reasons why I have decided it's very important for me to make things in life is one, because I think most things are garbage, but two, it's also the fact that if there's something out there that I imagine, and I imagine that I would like it, and I would like to own such an item, but it doesn't exist, that's difficult. You know, sometimes you have an idea for a product of sorts that you wish to exist, but there's a big old problem with that, and it does not exist, it's not convenient, it's not helpful. And most of the time, if you're thinking of a tool, the tool exists. Very, very niche things are you making new tools for. But something in a more creative aspect, something in a more crafty sort of way, like these stamps, for example. I'm sure there is somewhere I can find like a stamp of a domino out there, but not like this one. I don't think there is an easy way to find a lot of these things. If I want to make a stamp of something specific, for example, it probably doesn't exist. Stamps, unfortunately, cover a very, very like specific, but like broad spectrum of things. So it gets very, very a mile wide and an inch deep with the designs you can get on a stamp. Like a couple of trees, couple of animals, couple of sea creatures. Anything a bit more specific than that, I have to make myself. For example, this butternut squash stamp that I'm going to be putting together here today. I have to be willing to put in that extra effort to create something that doesn't really previously exist at all. And of course, when you do something like that, it's challenging. It's challenging because there's not really instructions on how to do it, and you just have to figure it out as you go. Or not even as you go, and you just have to try it, fail, try it, fail, try it, fail, until it goes right. And that is another thing that's very daunting about creating your own things. And of course, another reason why I do it is because, one, I know I can trust myself to make something of quality that I want out of an item that I own. The other thing is that, like, it's so very important to create something. It's so very important to be creative, and not even in a sense of like painting it up like Bob Ross, like just putting something together, like being creative enough to create a solution. That's a big thing. That's a big thing we don't talk about. Like, creativity runs in everybody's blood in some different, unique way. It's not all sunshine and rainbows and coloring books. It's genuinely just cobbling together a solution with what we have available at our fingertips. Sometimes I feel a bit lost with the things I'm making. Like, I don't really know why I'm doing it. These stamps, for example, I made these domino stamps like 2 months ago. And they've been sitting, waiting for me to make the wooden backs for them for all this time. And I haven't done it yet. But I am today. And it's not because I got some awesome burst of motivation. I just kind of felt like making something today. I felt like doing something. I felt like getting out there and just starting to do something out in this hot garage. And it is hot today. Not as hot as it normally is. I mean, shoot, for July, we're chilling right now. Dude, 91. Oh! 91 degrees, man. That's great for where I live. Last year, July, right now, it was 116. I was planning, like, what can I do that's indoors that is like creating stuff where I can stay out of the heat during the summer. But right now, it's great. I've got this door open here, the front garage is open, I get a nice cross breeze going behind me. It blows my hair over my face, but it's a small price to pay to stay nice and relatively temperature cooled. But anyway, sometimes we don't really have a plan for things, and we just do it. It's keeping the muscle like up to strength. You don't want to allow your creativity to atrophy because you don't have some grand idea to work to. Like, this grand vision doesn't exist right now because you're preoccupied with something else, or nothing feels ever so amazing right now. You're not feeling pulled in any specific direction or idea. I have a big long list of ideas in my whiteboard in there that I'm going to come out here, make videos about, create, yap while I talk to the camera, and none of them feel exciting right now. So I decided to get these stamp backs done today. I've been waiting to do them for a couple months. I had an idea of reading a big long book and talking about the creative ideas in that book, how important it is to do small creative projects like this. But that book's taken a while, and I'm making enough stuff to just make whatever I feel like making at the time I happen to finish it. It doesn't have to go to some grandiose plan. I just have to be willing to sit at the camera and sit in front of my workstation. It's a fold-out table. Sturdy one at that. Great work table. Great. Best $100 I've ever spent. But yeah, sometimes I just need to stand at my workstation or do whatever it is that's happening in a relative creative flow. Sometimes we just have to let the river pull us along in life, and that's okay, because we don't really have like a boat to sit in. We don't have an oar to increase our speed. We don't have any means to accelerate ourselves in life. So all we can kind of do is be patient and let life carry us through. Like, it's important to never like stay stationary and be super content with not doing anything or taking any action in life. It's important to not do that, but it's also important to recognize, hey, you know what? I've been really fighting to try to get down the current faster. Maybe I just need to save my energy and just let life do its thing. And sometimes you gotta wait a week or two, maybe a month, before things really start going your way again, and where it gives you a point in time where you can start having an immediate effect on what you're doing. All the dominoes are done. They're They're all the same, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but I've put these pieces here in front of where I've stamped each stamp that I'm going to attach to each back, because I have made each one to fit the correct size of the stamp that I've made out of rubber. And it's just because I've wanted it to be custom, because why wouldn't I? And this does greatly increase the time it takes to make each and every one of them. But I guess the good news about this batch is I basically made all of the domino ones roughly the exact same size, because when I make each one of these domino stamps, I just have one that I've made previously. I stamp it on the rubber, and then I rub off the pattern of which number domino was on that stamp, and I fill in whichever one I'm feeling. So I keep them all a consistent size doing that. So it makes these ones at the very least easier. These two had to be made different, and this one for the sand dollar, I mean, it's different. I've never made a circle one, and having that belt sander really made it possible. So I really envisioned this like wafer shape to stamp with, and I want to try that and see if it works. I think I may have made it too small. That's the only thing. Hopefully I didn't. That would be the goal. I want the wonkier side, it's not quite circular, to be the bottom where I stick it on there, like this. So I want this side to be where I stamp the pattern on. And if this is too small and I screwed this up before I even started, I will make another one, and who cares? I think it should fit though. I think I just am skating by with this one. I'll make more. I'll probably make some bigger ones and some smaller ones. This was a difficult shape to make, and I don't think I made it completely right to where I want it, but that's okay. Because again, this is low stakes. Okay, feels pretty good, feels pretty good, feels pretty good, feels pretty good. Moment of truth. Oh, that's perfect. You see that? Oh, it's like a perfect little wafer. I love it. I love it. Look at that. Oh, yeah, dude. Let's go. Oh, that was fucking phenomenal. Yes. Oh, I didn't expect it to fully it looks like just, swish. Okay, sorry. I'm getting excited. And sometimes you have things like that where you impress yourself. Even though it's small and it's low stakes, perhaps the fact that it was low stakes stopped me from fucking it up, because I was like, it's all right if it messes up. But it didn't mess up. And I'm thoroughly surprised and happy about that. Man, that's great. Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, cool. So now that I've done that, and in the future, this is just regular ink pad ink. I should get an ink pad that's like permanent industrial black ink that can go on these stamp heads or the stamp backs, because that'll last a lot longer. And these are, I think, liable to fade eventually, which if they fade in 30 years, that's pretty good for a piece of rubber and wood. But if I make a stamp and boy is it one of the best designed things I've ever made, yeah, I'll get that hardcore stuff and I'll make these out of like damn maple or something. These should have had enough time to really dry and adhere to the wood, so now I get to do a really fun thing where I get a good coat of wax on it. And by doing so, it gives it a nice gloss. It'll also make it even smoother than it was before. And when I do actually put the wax on these, it's important I use what I call the magic weapon, which is any old piece of clothing. I have an old sock with a hole in it. You buff it out smooth. You don't do it too hard, you might take away a lot of stain, which I kind of did on this one, but that's okay. So now, if I let that wax really set, these things will be indestructible, it feels like. But for now, just gonna put the layer of wax on each one of these slowly but surely. Yeah, so as much as this doesn't excite me, and it didn't excite me to start today, I'm glad I still came out and did it. One, because I had that small victory with the attempt for the sand dollar stamp that ended up working out quite well, but also because it ends up being worth it. It all does. Another way I've been keeping my reps up, for example, is actually sitting down and, well, not sitting down because I'm standing, but sitting down and actually talking to the camera when I do my recordings like I'm doing right now. It's tricky to talk while you work, especially when you're doing certain types of work, you know? So this is on the less heavy thoughts and focus side of things, so I can do it very easily while talking. Other things are more difficult, but for this, I can absolutely look at the camera and yell out all the things I'm talking about, be myself, and I don't have to worry about any complicated thing that's going on with the project at hand. When it comes down to it, me getting the reps in to actually do this and to become more comfortable doing it and to actually allow my own personality to show through and not turn off immediately when the camera turns on, it's a challenge, but it's something I'm willing to work towards and actually continue to try over and over and over again so that I may get really good at it and, of course, produce better videos and to produce more engaging videos and to produce videos that get my point across easier in a more entertaining and personalized way, because creating stuff is very close to home, it's close to heart, it's close to what I find important in life. So to continue doing it while I make my videos is really important to me. So flexing that muscle, even if this footage never sees the light of day, is important for me to do. It's super, super, super important for me to do so that every time I do it, it gets just a little bit better each time. And thankfully, after all the work I've put in today, all of these stamp backs are almost done. The last thing I'll need to do after getting a quick buff on each one is gluing the stamps to the back and making sure they line up with the stamp at the front, because I don't want to put it backwards. That'll mess up the whole functionality of it. Yeah, one of my reps is doing that. Another rep of mine is actually sitting down almost daily with my own personal journal and trying really hard to get some thoughts into it, mostly because if I'm constantly outputting my thoughts, at the very least on paper, I can see them in the written language, how they're said and how they are presented, so that I may make the best things that I can and express my ideas in the most functional way possible. Because if I don't have my ideas really, not super completely fleshed out, but relatively fleshed out, it won't sound very good on camera because I'll just sort of be yapping into the void and not knowing exactly what I'm trying to express. So if I don't have, at the very least, a rough just spewing it out on the paper to where I can then sort of summarize into relative bullet points that will give me a framework of which to talk to the camera and explore new ideas and give myself room to riff and come up with things that affect exactly what I'm talking about, then I won't be able to do that effectively. Without actually putting in the extra legwork. So I've done that. I finally finished this journal I had been writing in for the last 3 years. It's completely filled. And that was real cool. It was super cool. And that was super cool because it feels like a whole chapter of my life ended. So I went to the store, got a new one, a little bit of a nicer brand than that first one, and I started writing in it. And I'm 20, 25 pages just filled with writings, ideas, journaling about my day, all kinds of things, just filling it up. I spend an hour to 2.5 hours every day doing it, or at least every day that I do it. Not every day I'm writing in it because some days like today, I haven't written in it today because my creative activities were to come out here and do all of this stuff. There's no time for me to be writing and journaling when I'm out here. I am here to create my stamps and my stamp backs. So that being said, let me actually get back going on it. The last thing I need to do for this, the very last thing I need to do is to glue these. So I am at this one. So this is interesting because it is double-sided ones, but I don't want it to be the wrong ones. I don't want it to be the incorrect ones because they are different with the different amounts of swirls on them. So this one needs to go about here. And to do that, I am going to put glue on this. So get this little super glue tin here. Not brand name super glue, but oh, it shall work indeed. I'm gonna get real up and personal with these little things right here, okay? Okay, I do a lot of yapping when I work. Hopefully that's entertaining. If not, I don't know, I'm not editing it out. Lucas will. Anyhow, I'm gonna stand above it. I'm gonna get it pretty much exactly in the middle where I want it to be. And I'm gonna press it down. I'm gonna get a good press and I'm gonna hold it for a minute. Just give it a little hold for 15, 20 seconds, just chill out. That looks pretty good to me. Okay, so now that's pretty much finished. I'm gonna set that off to the side and move on to the next one. So I think one of the most important things, absolutely, is to not underestimate the importance of a dream. A dream is a loose definition that we sort of pass around in pop culture and really the internet as a whole. So giving a absolute definition of it is not going to be helpful in this case. So giving it a set definition right now is not going to be the point, but very important to understand that our thought processes greatly affect our actions in certain situations and in our immediate life. So for example, if there is a sort of dream, if you will, there's a daydream, there's a vision, there's an idea of what you want to do in life, or if there's even a vision or an idea of what you want to do for your next small project, for the next cooking experiment that you're going to do, for the next pottery thing you're going to make, or even the next new route home to skip traffic from work. If there is something that we have that we can imagine that we can actually put some effort towards making, that is just going to make all the difference in life. It's because everything we see around us in life was once somebody's dream. Every grand vision, invention, creation, idea, thought, book, all of it, at one point or another, somebody sat down, thought of it, and really just daydreamed about making it a reality. They saw this idea as an opportunity to add something to the world, and they took it. So it's not something to take lightly when we ourselves have those feelings, when we ourselves have those ideas. So much of what we are capable of depends on what we believe is possible and also what we believe our time is worth spending on. We can tell ourselves all we want that working on something, because it's not guaranteed to turn out into some grand, successful way, isn't worth doing. And here's the thing, it may not turn out to some grand, successful result, but it will turn into something. That's the interesting thing, is no matter what happens, whether it's grandiose and incredible in its results, it does become something. It may become shit, but it also may become something great. Like this sand dollar stamp. I didn't think that I made the wooden back for it the right size. And I thought, hey, it might turn out like shit, but I tried it anyway. And it turns out the oblong shape of the original stamp actually fit the wooden back damn near perfectly. And it all just sort of works out that way. And I got lucky in that sense, but only because I tried. Only because I imagined it at some point, I made it, I gave it a shot, I made myself not stress too much over the results of it immediately, and just threw it on the fucking drawing board. It was that easy. I just threw it out there to see what would happen. And it worked. It worked. It's something small and meaningless. If I was to tell you that this was some lifelong goal and dream to make this stamp, well, I'd be lying, because it's not. But I did daydream every now and then about making a sand dollar stamp. And one day I sat down to give it a shot. And you know what? It looked like shit. So I tried it again. That one looked like shit too. I tried it one more time. It didn't look like a circle. I tried it one more time like this. And actually, it turned out pretty good. So I decided to ask some friends about it, see if they liked it. They're like, oh, that's a sand dollar. The fact that they recognized it immediately means I didn't do too bad of a job, for one. But for two, it means it was worthy of making it into something further, which is why I made a back for it. And then that turned out better than I expected. But it's only because I allowed myself to sort of daydream about it and actually take that daydream, that idea, that sort of small thought that lifted me up ever so slightly inside at the thought of it being a success, to push me into trying it anyway. It's because I allowed that feeling to trampoline me into the action of creating it, to actually putting the effort into bringing it into existence, that I get to experience this real fun time of seeing that it actually worked. That's awesome that it worked. I'm so glad it worked. And now I get to put it together. And so I get to share the final results with my friends, the people who give a crap in my life if this stamp goes well or not, or I get to show it on the internet. And I can see if anybody cares, if anybody looks at that sand dollar stamp and goes, wow, I'd like to make that myself. They get to follow in my example. And they get to see that their idea is also possible. That's the other great thing, is if somebody has something similar to you, it just means that your idea is that much more possible. So don't be discouraged if somebody makes something that's kind of similar to your idea. Make your idea anyway, even though it's relatively similar, because if they're getting success from theirs, maybe yours, which is a slight deviation from their idea, but it's more refined and more well-made, and there's more heart and soul into it, and there's more thought process behind it, you may actually still have been on some great track the entire time, but if you let that person's success in a slightly different direction stop you because you feel like they've taken your idea and they've already created something great out of it, you're wrong, and you'll be stopping yourself from hitting that just target right in the bullseye. Like, they hit it, they got a good score, but you've got it right down center lane, and all you have to do is fucking swing, and you've got it. So don't be discouraged in that way. By doing these small little ideas, these small little daydreams, and actually giving yourself the runway to either take off or crash with them, you'll find something. You find something when you crash, you find something when you succeed. Honestly, it's kind of crooked. It's kind of crooked. I'm gonna do it again. I peeled it off. Run it back. We're still in this. Okay, I think I nailed it. I think I laced it with this one. Just gotta hold on tight. Don't mess this one up. This is hard to make symmetrical because it's circular. So this made this one tricky. But I've also learned this for the first time, that this will make it tricky. Oh my God, there's so many mosquitoes on that light. That's the other thing, is it may not be 117 right now, but the mosquitoes know that. Their one just landed in front of me. How sad. It's pretty far off, I'm not gonna lie. Honestly, that'll work. I actually think that's fine. Cool. Victory. Boom. All right. Come on, GoPro. You see that shit? You see that shit, GoPro? You see that? You see that? You see that? You see that? All right, I'll stop.